All right, thank you for staying with us. Joining us on the show is a distinguished entrepreneur who has become a formidable presence in the real estate sector, boasting a wealth of experience spanning over 2 decades and involvement in numerous high-profile projects worldwide. With a strong background in structural and geotechnical engineering, Ayoolanrewaju Kuyebi joins us this morning on the show. Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, actually.
Right.
Yes.
It's good to have you because a lot of us want to learn when it comes to this matter of real estate. We know that it is one venture that has become lucrative in recent years, and you have been there. All right, thank you for staying with us. We do apologize for, just going on a break all of a sudden in the middle of a conversation we were having with our guest, Ayoolanrewaju Kuyebi, who is a distinguished entrepreneur in the real estate sector. And before we went on that break, you were telling us how you were able to carve a niche for yourself in this 2 decades that you've been in that sector. So go ahead.
So actually, it's by actually placing premium on experience.
Right.
And as you know, there is a popular saying that the level of your training will determine the level of your reigning. So in 2006, I was actually opportune to work in a bank as a teller, which I turned down, and I joined an engineering firm for training purposes, whereby I was not placed on any salary, and I walked away from a job that would have been paying me over 200,000 as at that time.
Really?
So yes, because for me, it's about experience. It's about experience.
Then you had a vision already at the time.
Yes, because I know exactly what I want to achieve in life.
Okay.
So I took up this employment, and after a while, I decided paying me. After maybe 7 months, they started paying me 15,000 compared to 200,000, because as at that time, what's actually my need? So I worked with the firm for a while, and moving job from this particular firm after 2 years of training and working with them, I secured another employment that was paying me a weekly allowance of 30,000 as a result of the experience I've been able to gather over 2 years. So you can see the trajectory. So after working also in a group of companies for about 1.5 years, I also wanted to experience how it is like to work in a multinational company. So,
Interesting. I hear we need to go on a break again. So when we return, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have our guest, Ayoolanrewaju, in the studio talking to us about his journey in the real estate sector and the processes he had to go through. One intriguing aspect is the fact that he had to turn down a 200,000 naira job as at
2006 to take up an unemployment without pay.
Unemployment without pay. So
for 7 months.
Just build the story from there.
So basically, as I was saying, to be the best in whatever you do, you have to learn from the best. So as at that time, as a young engineer, so all I set out to achieve is to be able to become a force to reckon with in the industry in which I found myself. And that is the driving force. So, and to be very candid with you, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so I have to survive. Because I've learned survivor since I was age 9, how to survive. So, so what do I do differently was the fact that in this company I was talking about, they were training me on how to design. So there was a tutorial center very close to the office. So in the evening when I close by 5, I go to the tutorial center to do 2 hours. So they pay me 150 naira per hour. So that is what I was sustaining myself on, coupled with the little allowance I was getting from home. So after 7 months, so they placed me on salary. After 7 good months, they placed me on salary of 15,000 naira. So I worked with the firm for 2 years, and I moved job again. So I went to work with another company. It's a group of company, because I moved away from working from one man to a group of company where there's a bit of structure. So I just want to experience how structure work. Where I was coming from, we are the accountant, we are the site clerk, we are the storekeeper. So I want to work in an organization whereby you have the site engineer. There is an organogram that will be followed. So I moved up job, and to my surprise, when they interviewed me for the job, they placed me on a weekly allowance of 32,000, not salary. Weekly allowance of 32,000. So I rose from being a site engineer to being a deputy project manager of hundreds of millions of projects. So I was coordinating 3 projects at a time: one in Elaje Bariga, one in Makoko, and one in Agulejika in Sele. And I shuttle all of these 3 sites every day. Do you understand? And they were doing different work as at that time. So, you know, because I want more. And I want to see how multinational is like. What does it feel like to work in a multinational company? Yeah. So I applied, and as at the time I was applying, the role was a trainee engineer. So after working for 3.5 years, and the role available as at then was a trainee engineer, I actually took up the role. And it was a massive pay cut for me. But I experienced efficiency at the highest level. I experienced specialization at the highest level, working with an organization like that. And in 2010, I pulled out to form a company called GOTV Consult Limited, where we major on piling works. And why do I so much want to be in the construction, in the build sector, is the fact that people really get value for money in this sector, really. Yes, majority of people get their finger burnt. They promise them A and they deliver Z to them. And as at the time I was talking about, piling is very, very complicated because people even handling piling as at that time, they don't have the technical prerequisite to actually undertake such projects. And the rate of foundation failures at that time is actually alarming. So I took it upon myself to say, you know what, I am going to venture into piling and I'm going to do something differently. I will ensure every client get value for their money. So in 2010, the little money I've gathered together, around 570,000. So I used it to start up a company called GOTV Consult Limited. So I put the money into fabrication of what they call Dando rig. It's a smaller piling rig. It's locally manufactured. So, and when this was done, I called on people that have been in the industry, we call them the riggers, the operator in parlance language. And they have about 15 years experience. Wow. So me coming with 5-6 years experience. So I brought them close. I said, you know what, we can be partner on this in this company. All I need is your expertise. I will do the technical aspect of this work. You go to site and deliver quality and deliver the job to the client. So, you know, from there I keep on building my equipment base. And in 2014, GOTV has grew up to become a company that is over 500 million in both equipment and cash in the bank.
Sorry to cut you.
Yes.
I hear these figures and I'm amazed.
Yes.
Now, you spoke about saving to start a business.
Yes.
You also spoke about getting employment without pay.
Yes.
In this 2023, no young person wants to hear that one. Do you see? So a lot of people will say, how can I go to work for you and you're not paying me? So are those things still relevant today? Young person watching today saying that this was then, is it still relevant now?
And that is why these days is quite alarming. Two things are quite lacking. People with talent not having good attitude. And people without talent having good attitude. It's a mismatch. So it's a big problem now for we the employers. It's a big problem because even the graduate that is being turned out year in, year out, are they employable? You are washed. You still have to handle a graduate you have to teleguide them for them to be able to perform their duties. With outside that, you are just going to be.
Boil down to our curriculum as well.
I think it's now a culture of mental laziness. Yes, mental laziness and what they call what do they call
entitlement.
this? Self-entitlement, sense of entitlement. When I was growing up, due to the nature of my background, I don't expect anything from anyone. Anything I cannot get on my own, then I'll have to face the music. So I know what it is to be here, I know what it is to be here, and I know what it is to be at the highest level. Yes, but I vow never to beg for anything. So everything I must get, I must earn it. So I go into what they call self-development. And when you say people work for free for people, I have worked on several projects pro bono. Several projects pro bono. Because I believe first in delivering value, then I can now say, okay, this is what I'm going to take. Majority of the time, you will be cheated. But one thing is certain, the experience cannot be taken away from you. So I've worked severally, and I've done a couple of projects. And when I say I work freely, I don't work freely in Alimosho. I work freely in Banana Island. If you want to give me a project in Alimosho, and I'm looking at doing a project in Banana Island, I will give the Banana Island my total consideration. Even if they are not going to pay me,
Why?
I will be on the project.
Why?
Exposure experience.
Exactly.
Access to clients.
Delayed
Access,
gratification.
delayed
All
gratification.
he's talking about is delayed gratification.
Access to experience.
Yeah.
Because the quality of construction, the quality of material you'll be exposed to working in Banana Island, working in Lekki, working in Magodo is not the same you'll be exposed to if you are going to work in Alimosho, if you are going to work in Ogun State. Do you understand?
Yeah.
After turning down the bank job as a teller, they gave me another job in another company that they wanted to be building bungalows. And I look at it, that is not what I want. What I wanted for my life is the ability to be able to have the experience, to be able to put up towers, to be able to put up 5, 6, 7-story buildings. Do you understand? Know when to call in particular professional as at when due. Do you understand? And it has always been my dream to provide shelters, giving people value for their money. And I can say to you that we were the first development company in Lagos to actually build an apartment building on the mainland, in Bagada to be precise, and we are sold out, even against all feasibility studies. That mainland is territorial, they want terraces, they want semi-detached, and in 2018, the project was actually delivered.
Mr. Kuyebi, I have enjoyed listening to you. I mean, I could have paid to listen to this.
Yes.
Well, whenever we hear real estate, it makes a lot of people's heart pound, because someone did a post on Instagram recently, and he said, if you earn 90,000 in Nigeria, there's no way you can have savings. It's not even enough for a family of maybe a man and his wife, how much more with children. And now you're talking about a home plan. So I'm asking at the top of my head now, that so to get some kind of benefit, home plan, you must be a top earner. You must be somewhere around maybe 500,000. But you guys always preach something else. You tell us from a humble background, and you can achieve anything you want. So tell us, for so many Nigerians listening to us now who probably assume that what they make is not even enough for the month, how do we key into this thing you're talking about?
Okay, basically, I said something earlier on, self-development. And I always tell people, emergency are created by laxity. Emergency are created by laxity as a result of mental laziness. I want to go to Aja, and I'm in Agege, and I faced Abeokuta. How am I going to end up in Aja? Do you understand what I'm trying to say now?
Yeah.
For whatever you want to achieve in life, it has to be a plan on purpose. You have to work towards your goal. Imagine I work as a teller in 10 years, and in 2006, there was economic boom. Recession came in 2008. Majority of people lose their job. Majority of my mates that went into the banking sector, they lost their job. 2 years in banking, what's their experience? Nothing to fall back on, nothing. They've collected good salary for 2 years, but no experience. So, do you understand where I'm going? So I forfeited that to actually enroll in a place whereby I can garner what? Experience, plan on purpose, to be able to achieve. So, like I said earlier on, I started this company with 570,000 naira. I am very, very frugal when it comes to money management. Yes, very frugal when it comes to money management. I have a portfolio of over 30 billion. You can't steal me with any escort. Not that I can afford. I cannot afford it, but it's not a priority.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say now? So, for me, the truth of the matter is just that everything I have to do, I have to set out a plan and put a timeline to it. My vision is constant. The timeline in which I achieve them is a variable. But will I achieve my goal? 100%.
Absolutely.
So when you earn 90,000, if you are an income earner of 90,000 and you dream of buying a house one day, what are you doing with your 90,000?
Yes. Yeah, you see,
What value are you adding to yourself? They call seminar of 5,000, you cannot attend. They call financial freedom of seminar, like come and attain financial freedom. How much are you investing in self-development? Because what a mental future you cannot picture in your mind, you can never live in it. So it starts from the mindset. So when I gave birth to the vision of GMH Luxury, I was sitting on a reinforcement on a site in Ilaje Bariga. I didn't even have 300,000 in my savings. And I wrote it down, I can never forget, that by 2014, I am going to start my first development. I couldn't start in 2014, but I started in 2015 by buying a land worth over 40 million naira. So I was able to move. So it's service mentality. When you have a service mentality, when you have a service mentality, when you have a mentality of rendering excellent service, money chases you.
Yeah.
I have never seen anyone that chases money that makes money. You can never. But when you chase excellent service, money naturally comes to you. So what do I do differently when I establish Joshua Consult Limited? Is if you call me now that you want to do piling, all I'll be doing is to educate you on how you can do a stock check on your project site.
Right.
That when you get there, this is what you look out for, this is what you look out for, this is what you look out for. I'll give you a cost implication to that effect. Right. And I will provide all the information you need, even as a layman, to be able to know if you are doing your work well or not. Will you rather not give me your work?
I will give you, why don't?
But
because
when I was,
have the experience.
Yeah.
but when I was, when we were having the conversation, I am not pitching to do the work for you.
Yeah,
I am,
but because you're
enlightening
selling to me the knowledge you have.
the knowledge I have.
Multiple skills.
Very good, which is good. What I hear from you is vision, goals, setting goals, planning, and ensuring that you are disciplined enough
Resilient,
to
too.
stick with your vision and your goal. Clear cut. It's very important. But then let's come back to the realities around us.
Yes.
Talking about the number of building collapse we have witnessed in recent times. In fact, in recent times, we've had successive building collapse in the country and in Lagos, and it's worrisome. Some have attributed it to the soil texture because it is salty and all of those things. You hear all sorts of stories. You are the expert here who will clear the air for us. And then there's also the infiltration of these persons who now build houses, or developers, and then they are talking about the cost of building materials, how it is that they want to make a lot of money and all of those. So just help us understand what really is going on within this sector and how you are still able to distinguish yourself despite of all of these issues.
Okay, so I will tell you this. Have I failed before? Yes. But as you all know, that failure inspires winners, but it defeats losers. So in my course of in my career progression, I've suffered fatal failures where I lost a lot of money. I had to demolish 11 units in Magodo. Yes. 11 units of terrace houses in Magodo at first stage of finishes.
Why?
So we have this construction ongoing, and the major canal line was blocked. If you know Magodo and Magodo Brooks, what is separating the two is actually a canal line.
Yeah.
So some people came and said it's their land, and they blocked the canal, and our project was at the receiving end. So, because I know the force of nature, how water behaves when it comes to water and structure, so we had an option, whether to pull down the building or ensure the canal is actually in state. But since we don't have control over the canal, we pull down the building. In the process, we lost over 370 million.
Ah.
Yes. So
How did you sleep that night?
Nothing affects my mind, actually. Nothing. Because my mind is my battleground. So the truth of the matter is just that we lost money, but none of our investors lose their money because we relocated some and we refunded some. Yes. So truth hurts, but we are not going to deliver a project that cannot stand the test of time. We will not package for you a problematic, we won't pass on a project. We won't pass on a problem. When we know a project is not going to stand the test of time, we will rather cancel that particular project. And in the course of our 8 years as a development company, we've had to cancel 2 projects as a result of several environmental failure and even foundation failure. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now?
So these are the issues why we're having some of these collapses.
Yes, because they are trying to patch it up. They are trying to mend it. And nobody is going to give you what they don't have.
Ayoolanrewaju, I'm intrigued by your story and how it is that you chose to do the right thing. Yes. So I'd had most of my corporate work experience with the real estate sector, where I'd worked as executive assistant for real estate owners in Lagos State. And I see similar cases like this, right? So they have a choice between pulling down a structure or selling the structure. Sometimes, in some other cases, they would sell the structure, leaving the owners, the buyers, to deal with such problems.
Yes,
and that has informed the way that I see that you've built trust over time.
Yes.
So, looking at it in the long run, did it pay you?
100%. 100% of the time.
Yeah.
How can you grow from 570,000 in 2010 to having a project portfolio of over 30 billion in 13 years? That can only be trust. That can only be impeccable reputation. That can only be on the foundation of empathy, whereby people will say, so I've done construction works. So I started a project in 2020 and come COVID, then Naira devaluation, then inflation. When I finish, I go back to the subscribers and see, there is no way what you have paid me in 2020 can finish this project. So I have this much exposure with the bank. You have to add X, Y, Z. They were happy to make the addition because we didn't cut corners. And I'm going somewhere. So when we did that, we started another development. Whenever we bring people to the completed project, they buy. 90% of the time they buy. Do you understand? So truth hurts, but it's better. Do you understand? So we always have a choice. Do we scale down the quality we've promised people? Do we do it and find a way and find a middle ground to reduce our losses and still ensure that the brand, what the brand stands for, is still upheld? Do you understand? We are still able to uphold what the brand stands for, and that is what we do differently at GMH Luxury. We try everything within our capacity to do quality, to deliver quality.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Mr.
Ayoolanrewaju.
I mean, one more time, thank you so much. You've inspired me so much. I hope, aside your real estate, you're inspiring a lot of other young people. Because listening to you, I was asking myself, people like you with such passion, vision, just think of one thing, how to exit the country, because they say there are better opportunities where I can leverage on, you know, and become more successful. What are some of the factors that's made you, you know, keep up with this here in Nigeria? And what's your counsel to other people listening to you now? And tell us some of the books you like to read, because you sound like a reader.
Yes, actually. I do read a lot. So the truth of the matter is just that I believe in the project Nigeria. And Nigeria has given so much to me, and I have to give back. I'm not part of the people that say Nigeria happens to me. Nigeria never happens to me. Then if Nigeria happens to me, it happens to me in a good way. Because it makes me who I am today.
Yes.
And so, in an emerging economy, there is thousands of problems begging for solution. If you are able to unlock just one, that can give you a generational wealth. In a developed nation, it takes more to do anything that is innovative, because everything is almost set.
Yes.
They have a good transportation. They have the basic amenities of life. So it's either you are an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. So to be an entrepreneur is easy in a developed world than to be an entrepreneur. And when you listen to the story of Jack Ma, when he created Alibaba, there was no internet in China. How can you incorporate a company that is an e-commerce base when you don't have internet? And there is something he said. He said for the first 3-4 years, they weren't making money. But he discovered that after second, third year, whenever he goes to a restaurant, people pay for him. Because people are now getting value, service. Do you understand now? They are getting value from what they are not being paid for. They enlist for free on Alibaba, and when they see him, they thank him. Do you understand? And today, Alibaba is a multi-billion-dollar empire. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It set out to solve a problem, which was what? E-commerce. And today, Alibaba is where he is. Do you understand? So, if you can look inward, and there is a reason why there is pro before vision. That means before your vision is there is a provision for that vision. It's just for you to be able to look. So I always tell people, when you want to do business, you don't need money. You need this yourself. That's what you need.
I wonder how many people would agree with you on that, because
because the truth of the matter is just that
it's proof enough.
A lot of money without financial intelligence is money soon gone.
Right.
So when I put 10 million in your hand and I put 10 million in another person's hand, at the end of the day, you are going to have a different value but the same amount of money.
I need that everywhere.
We have limited time. Let's talk about two things now. The real estate sector is seen as a conduit for corruption.
Okay.
I wonder how you've been able to deal with that. Those who want to launder money and all of those use that sector to do that. How are you able to do that? Because from your stance, you stand for truth, and that's it. So how are you able to deal with it? That's on the one hand.
Okay.
Then Nigeria's, housing deficit, we are about 28 million as it is. And means that, according to reports, we need 28 million units of housing to addressing, this deficit. So what do you think could be the solution to also addressing this? So 2 questions.
Okay, so basically, real estate is very capital intensive. And if we are going to be very truthful to ourselves, only few people can actually afford a piece of real estate in this country. Let's be very sincere with ourselves.
Absolutely.
Do you understand now?
Yeah.
So, combating corruption, laundering money through real estate is a very complex problem. It's like trying to determine clean money from crime money in Las Vegas. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now? It's actually very difficult. But what we've been trying to do over the time is the fact that we receive money through a proper and appropriate channel. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now? So if you want to buy into our project, you have to pay through the appropriate channel that is traceable. Do you understand? So those are the things we are actually doing differently. So if you want to buy into any of our project, you know, there are legal means of making payments. So anything outside that, we will not put our hand. Then going into the housing deficit. So you know, we moved from 2 million in the last 15 years to 28 million. And in 2050, Nigerian population will be over 400 million. The value to bridge the gap is put at over 80 trillion. FMBN, National Housing Fund, that's ought to champion this deficit. Their market capitalization is in tens of billions. So how do you bridge the gap? So what can we do differently is very simple. We've seen what India was able to do between 2017 and 2023. They were able to deliver 17.3 million housing units. And how did they do it? By giving a subsidized loan to their citizen. The same thing was done in Brazil, My Home, My Life, in 2009 by Lula da Silva. What did they do? Subsidized loan. The same thing was done in South Africa. What did they do? Subsidized loan. How can real estate be cheap when the facility available to the real estate developer, even in the private sector, is at 30%? How can real estate be cheap when the cost of approval year in, year out is like this? It's going up. Majority of the time, over 500% of the preceding year. How can real estate be cheap? Massive naira devaluation, and 90% of finishing material for real estate is actually imported.
Wow.
Today, what is our dollar to naira? So it's a sector government really needed to pay attention to. You know, well, in 2006, I was living in... Yes, so, you know, in 2006, I was living in Agege. The travel time between Agege and Ikoyi back then is around 1 hour. Today, what is the travel time between Agege at peak period to Ikoyi? 3 hours. Because government is no longer creating new town. There are no... So the infrastructure are available, they are overstretched. Because of what? The population, because there is no provision for the population expansion. Do you understand? And as far as collapse is concerned, if you look at the pattern of collapse, if you look at the collapse in recent time, it follows a particular pattern. Gone are those days that there is housing collapse in the rainy season. Now you have multi-story structure collapsing. And the reason is not far-fetched. Nobody will give you what they don't have. Is the high level of professional quackery in the real estate sector that is bringing about the collapse. An accountant wants to be an engineer.
You are breaking the table.
Unfortunately, we don't have time to continue this conversation. There's so much to say, but you have said a lot.
Thank you so much.
In just little time. We must thank you, Ayoolanrewaju Kuyebi, for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me.